pass her on the outside like that, coming from the third row?
No, but he made a hell of a lunge, and honestly, I was locking or having a slight slow of the inside front, so I didn't feel totally confident to go any deeper than I did. I mean, you guys saw it. I still full lock, still used the majority of the road, tried to give him just enough room, but there was no panic there. I knew we'd get him back quick, and we did, and off we went.
Pat, I've got a question online. If you can, in Spanish, explain your day, your thoughts, opening thoughts about your race today.
Contento con el día, muy contento con la estrategia del equipo, con los pit stops y le sacamos todo el jugo al auto. Realmente no pudimos haber hecho una mejor carrera. Obvio tenemos que avanzar un poco en un área donde hemos estado batallando todo el año, no nomás es ahorita, pero siento que ahorita ha estado un poco más pronunciado. Ahí se los voy a dejar. Entonces, sí, realmente que muy contento con lo que pudimos hacer hoy.
Gracias. Wolfgang, and then we'll go back to Tim in the front row.
Two questions for Graham. You just said earlier there was traffic which came into play. Do you think without this traffic you have maybe a chance to have launched an attack to Scott Dixon? And the second question, I think during the last laps, Hunter Ray was between you and Dixon, and you made the gesture. What does it mean? You thanked him? Or?
Yeah, I wasn't very pleased. Ryan's a very close friend, so I'm not going to say much, but I didn't think it needed to be a lap and a half or 2 laps for him to let me by. And Potts will tell you the same thing. When you're a second back of a car, it becomes a struggle, period. I mean, it's not easy. And the lapped cars, I wish they know that. You know, they could make job, particularly in the closing stages like that, slightly easier. Having said that, on the flip side of that, I thought Marcus Armstrong was amazing, you know, to let me right through. I mean, I was chasing his teammate. He certainly didn't need to make my life that easy, and he did a wonderful job. So, you know, I saw both sides of it today. And Dixie had the same. So, no, I don't think it affected my ability to go challenge Scott. It was the same for all of us at the front trying to work our way through the lapped cars. And, you know, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, Graham, you got almost up to Dixie's tail at one point there near the end and stuff. And when did it become apparent to you that he almost had to have a mistake, though, to get by him? You understand what I'm saying?
Well, right away.
It became resolute to you.
Right away, because I could see he wasn't sliding around a lot. He'd used the tires a little, but, you know, Dixie's not going to just make a mistake. You know, so I knew it was going to have to be a flawless run. And frankly, I almost had it. You know, meaning like, I needed about one more car length to be closer out of 13 to be able to get by. But I pulled off of overtake because I wasn't really gaining. I was kind of just, you know, holding steady. And because of his race pattern being so much more fuel saving, he had a lot more overtake at one stage. So we were catching him at the end. I mean, he was starting to use overtake because I could get that you know, at one point he had 60 seconds more than me. And I think at the end we ended up equal. So he was using it to stay ahead of me, but you know, that's what I kind of love about our version of overtake. Frankly, it's a mano-a-mano battle. You use it offensively, defensively. It's none of this DRS crap that just makes it easy. And you know, for me, I thought Dixon used it right today. I tried to do the best I could to challenge him, and I just ran out of steam. I mean, I just didn't. Leading up to the last lap, I went through the snake, turned 7, 8, 9, 10, and I had zero grip. And I lost about half a second or 3/4 tenths, and that was it.
If you were watching this race, though, did we see Dixon put on a master class? I mean, how would you describe, you know, he obviously spun on the first lap, you know. Go ahead.
I mean, it's been done a lot before, but he certainly is great at what he does. And this is the second one he's stolen from me, 2020 July race. It was the same finishing order, so, you know, is what it is.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Pato, I know you're disappointed with third place, but earlier today your buddy won the pole for tomorrow's race, so in a lot of ways you're pretty excited and happy to see that.
Yeah, I'll be mad if he doesn't win tomorrow.
Let's go Lewis and then Patrick.
Graham, Yesterday you said that it would be a red race, and you said your frustration with the blistered tire. For a layperson, the blacks are supposed to be endurance, and the reds are supposed to wear away. Yet some tracks, sometimes Birmingham here, what makes the difference?
Well, here today, Pato, I don't know what you had, but for me, it was just a little balance. I mean, I had a little bit more grip on the blacks, on the reds, but my rear was a lot more durable, actually. It was kind of the opposite of what you would expect. I thought I could challenge the rear of the car much harder, particularly on the entry to 4. On blacks, I was so loose in 4 the entire run that I never felt that I could push that much. Lap time-wise, wasn't a heck of a lot different. But at the end, when I wanted to go chase Dixie, the reds, having another set of reds, I think would have flipped the script on this race, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and
but it is what it is.
Yeah, and Pato, what's your feeling about the reds and the blacks and how sometimes they reverse roles?
I think you were an outlier on blacks. I was having
As far as what?
Just you were just really fast on blacks. Like I was on reds, and I was maintaining, but at that point you should be catching. You shouldn't be maintaining. And when I was on blacks and they were on reds, I was falling like a rock. Like I was miserable on them. So. Yeah, I was also I was on the same boat as he was. I had 2 heat cycled reds that I had to use, and a fresh set of reds, and I was very pleased to see that even with those 2 heat cycles, they held up really, really nice. So I was very happy with that.
Patrick, go ahead.
Pato, I believe this is your 6th podium of the season. What's it going to take to get over that little hump there?
Frickin' win would be great.
Yeah.
I've been driving my ass off every single race. Like there is nothing more than I want than to get wins. Obviously, there's been little things here and there that have, got us out of contention and out of being able to kind of capitalize on that. But with like a performance of today, I'm very pleased. I'm just tired. That's why I'm a little I'm just very pleased with today. Very happy with how the team and I attacked, because we knew, I was playing around with Graham in the warm up, and he was just stronger than me. I know he was. I knew it was going to be a tall ask to just from outright pace try and beat them. But I was very happy with my car balance. I was very happy with every other call. So yeah, we just got to keep pushing.
Graham, you've touched on this a little bit, but we have a joke around here that Scott Dixon wins in the most Scott Dixon-like ways. I mean, that seemed like again today. I mean, you said you gave him an inch with that extra long caution, and it sounded like they tried to go back to green a couple times and something wasn't right. But is that a frustration, or do you need to figure out where he gets his water from, kind of thing? Because
No, I mean he's 19 straight years with a win doesn't happen by luck. And there's nobody else that's anywhere close to that. But I certainly wanted one bad today, frankly. I think like Pato said on the blacks, I focused really hard on getting my car balance to where it was acceptable that I could maintain through that stint or through those 2, and I did. And to come up short, it definitely stings. But he made the strategy work, and he's damn good at that.
Chris?
Graham, how much more validation does this give you and the rest of the team that the shakeups that y'all have done has so far worked?
Yeah, it's heading in the right way. I mean, and I said it to all of our sponsors in Nashville. Said it to them again this morning when I saw everybody in the meet and greet. Everybody's been very patient, which I know isn't the easiest thing. But I think genuinely we've shown now that Christian's success and our flashes of speed in Mid-Ohio and other places weren't a fluke, that we are genuinely getting a lot better. And hopefully that can carry over and we can build into a really strong winter. and start off next year on a much better foot than what we did this year.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Graham. You just said you got stung today. You got stung in May. You got stung twice here in Indianapolis. Which stung worse, today or in May?
Yeah, I mean, they're so different, so different. But, as Pato said, I went to bed. I slept extremely good last night because I thought if you looked at the average lap times in warm-up, we looked really good. So I was thinking that it's never a guarantee, but I felt this is a track that's fairly green. Not a lot of cautions, which we didn't get. And that starting where we started, if we did the right things, that we had a damn good chance to win. And we played it perfect. I think, as he just said, I mean, we were an outlier on the blacks. I agree. I thought the same. And on an ordinary day around here, he would have won the race, But obviously the way that Dixon was able to get the mileage, the speed at which he was, having all the reds, had probably 2 new sets of reds and a used. I mean, just a lot of tires to use. And we weren't quite there.
Let's take one off Zoom. Eduardo Amos Ayala, IndyCar Al Dia. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dave. In Spanish, Pato, ¿tuviste tener problemas con el tránsito o qué? Creo que tuviste problemas con Peterson en algún punto de la carrera.
No, Peterson fue mucho mejor esta vez. No, estuvo bien. Obvio, hay unos que se esperan un poco más en cómo dejarte pasar. A mí siempre que me tocan esas carreras, yo no le arruino el día a nadie. Es una diferente historia si estás peleando el campeonato con el líder y por alguna razón tú estás teniendo una buena carrera, pues y faltan 2, 3 carreras, obvio, le vas a hacer la vida de cuadritos, pero no, o sea, realmente para los que están ahí atrás en el campeonato, destruirle a alguien una carrera que ha pasado muchas veces en esta serie, se me hace una gatada. Yo jamás haría eso.
Bien, y ya está un poquito por demás por lo de después de las últimas carreras. Creo que este resultado para ti sobre todo, o sea, es muy bueno para el resto del año, ¿no?
No, pues contento, pero pues al final del día siento que yo siento que la manera que yo he manejado en estas últimas carreras se sienten igual que hoy. O sea, realmente no he hecho errores, no le he sacado todo lo que pueda, pues a lo que me han dado y siento que hoy fue un muy muy buen día de yo con el equipo de ir hacia el frente y realmente pelear. No tuvimos ni una vuelta donde era, oye, como que ya la puedes tomar tranquila. Estuvimos empujando cada vuelta.
Muy bien. Thanks.
Okay, Eduardo, Bruce, wrap us up to this portion of it.
Are you going to miss this shared weekend with NASCAR since it looks likely that IndyCar will probably be at Milwaukee or somewhere like that next year?
Yeah, for sure. As I said yesterday, I hope we can figure out how to make more of these happen. It's a damn cool thing for motorsports fans. So hopefully we can figure out a way to keep it going.
Congratulations on the podium. See you in a couple weeks. Worldwide Technology Raceway. Again, Graham Rahal coming home second. Pato Award third. Scott Dixon is on his way. He'll be here shortly.
I did today.
You did today?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Here in Nashville.
Here in Nashville. You did, okay.
Work for the day. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Well done, bro. Thank you.
So we're going to do the deal up here afterwards. Okay.
Clear the used house.
Mm-hmm.
Best.
No, it was not mandatory. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good. We got a couple of things after this, but we'll make it. Okay, continuing with this year's Gallagher Grand Prix champion, the legendary six-time NTT IndyCar Series champion Scott Dixon, who led 34 of the 85 laps today. Driving, of course, the number 9 PNC Bank Chip Ganassi Racing Honda. First win of the season, 54th of his career, third podium here in 2023, 134th of, I can't read my writing, 134th of your career. The accolades go on and on and on. 19 consecutive seasons now with a win, which is an IndyCar Series record, 21st overall, which also extends your IndyCar Series record. That was quite a race. You're going to enjoy watching that, I think, at some point.
Yeah, well, I saw it firsthand, man. Yeah, it's been a strange year for us. You know, I think we had lots of opportunity at different races, and it's just never really converted. So, yeah, crazy day. Obviously, for me, I felt like I had a fantastic start. I think I picked up maybe 5 or 6 spots, and then got to turn 7, and there was a bit of a backup there, and just got spun around. So now I can say I got a spin and win at Indy, which is. Which is pretty cool. I know it's on the road course and doesn't count, but I'll still go with that story. But yeah, just we talked a lot in pre-race about kind of pitting early and getting off the maybe not so good tire for us, which was the black, and doing it around lap 4 or 6, and trying to have to get the fuel mileage to get it done. And I was actually shocked just the pace that we had. The car just kept doing the same lap times. Mid 73s to 74 flats, and the fuel mileage, huge credit to Honda and HPD, was remarkably easy to get. So I think that the pace and obviously the tire dig that we didn't really witness too much was fantastic. But yeah, I think the only downfall for me was pushing too hard on that last stint on the first 3 or 4 laps, and killed the tire a bit. Because the rest of the race, we just kind of maintained a pace, and it wasn't that difficult to get. But went for some big laps early on in that last stint, because I knew I was getting a fresh set of tires and didn't have to go that long. But kind of heard it, and I guess made it a bit of a show and a bit of a race. But feels good, feels damn good to get this win, and feel sorry for Graham. But yeah, this was cool.
Questions for Scott Dixon in person. We'll begin with Tim May.
Yeah, congratulations, Scott. I'm just wondering if you could finish this sentence. The secret to saving fuel is?
Lifting. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Where?
Honda, I would say Honda.
Yeah. But seriously, you spin, and just for a moment, was your day? Did it flash before your eyes? A 319th almost ended before it started. I mean, just what just goes on in your mind in that moment?
I know you're never really out of it, right? I think, and especially, this team is a testament to that with, all the cars that we have and just in general. So, I knew we weren't out of it. I was kind of bummed because I'm like, man, I had a really good start. Like, I picked up a load of spots, and it was wiped out within a half lap. So but again, I think you kind of automatically just fall back to how are we going to win this race from where we are now. And I knew that maybe the other manufacturer was going to struggle on mileage, and the cars that were around me with the 12 and the 2 and all those were going to struggle to do the pace that we could get with the mileage that we could get. So yeah, I guess the biggest concern for me was trying to figure out if the tires could go that far, especially being on the softer tire.
Lewis?
Yeah, over here. Hey, Scott. I'm not a technical guy. I don't understand tires. I understand that the blacks are supposed to be more durable and slow, and then the reds, but today was kind of reverse. Can you explain that?
So I will say that, typically the Indy Road Course has been a prominent red tire track up until maybe May, where, it was a different tire that they brought. This is actually a different tire. This is actually a black tire. The red tire here is a black tire from like maybe Barber 2019 or something. It's that kind of construction and compound. So we knew that it had the durability to it, but we weren't sure if it was going to be enough to kind of get, the laps, 25 to 30 laps on a stint that you needed to get. So yeah, it threw a bit of a curveball, I think, for everybody, because we'd been here for quite some time on a similar tire. And definitely caught us out in qualifying, kind of just missed the window on it, didn't get what I needed, and then made a mistake on the lap that counted. And you make a mistake in this field right now, you're knocked out immediately. So, yeah, I think that was the concern, just because you're doing it kind of first, and we were the only one really attacking that strategy. So you're not sure if it's going to work. But huge credit to Firestone, and yeah, thank you for bringing that different tire.
We're going the front row, then Jordan. Go ahead.
Scott, congratulations on all your career milestones so far.
Thank you.
Talked about your early spin. What's the thought process that goes through a driver's mind when something like it happens so early in a race?
Normally starts with a lot of swearing on the radio, and then you just kind of kick into the next mode of like, how do we fix this? We were going to pit, we were going to kind of try the two-stop early anyway. The difference being was that we were on the black tire. We wanted to kind of get rid of the black tire pretty quickly, and having, hoping to have great faith in that the red was actually going to last, and it did. So, yeah, I knew we weren't out of it at that point, just because if anybody tried to do the two-stop, you could still win the race from that period. And honestly, the caution was a little longer by a lap or two than maybe we thought, and that helped us, where we didn't have to get crazy fuel mileage. But yeah, it's frustrating, man. That's any race. It's a roller coaster, man. Your emotions are up and down like a roller coaster.
Jordan
Bianchi, The Athletic. From an IndyCar perspective, is sharing weekend with NASCAR been a good thing?
Yeah, I think so. There's not a whole lot of crossover, you can't even, I don't think you can even walk through anybody's pits. Well, they could probably walk through ours, but I don't think really go through theirs. But no, it's kind of cool, especially for this weekend. You've got fellow countryman with Shane Van Gisbergen, and you got Kostecki from V8 Supercars, got an old teammate with Kobayashi, here as well. So it looks like we need to maybe some of us IndyCar boys need to start, maybe driving both of the cars on this weekend. It'd be a lot of fun. But I think it's fantastic. From my point of view, I'm a race fan, man. I love IndyCar racing. I love V8 Supercars. I love NASCAR. I love Formula One. So to have both of them on the same weekend is huge. And I think for NASCAR to move to the road course, I think was pretty special as well.
We'll go Kevin and then Nate. Go ahead.
Yeah, you said you knew before the race that the black tires, you wanted to get rid of them early if you could. Was that good enough strategy that you would have stopped if you weren't involved in that caution, with the early caution?
I think we were planning to stop between lap 5 and 10 anyway, just to get rid of them. I think you kind of want to see how they're going to do. When you got a new tire, and maybe with the conditions today, the conditions were fairly hot, and the track temp was pretty high, so it had all the writing maybe that the black tire was going to be, the preferred as well. And it seemed like maybe for some cars it was. We were lucky that we got, well, I shouldn't say we were lucky, we got knocked out in round 1 to qualifying, but with that scenario, we had 2 sticker sets and then only, one set with 3 laps on it, So for us, it was going to be black, red, red, red all the way to the finish. And I think, having that option is very good. That's the only saving grace when you get knocked out in round 1.
And in the final 5 to 10 laps, Graham was closing in on you pretty quickly there for a while. Did you notice that, and did you do anything different on your end?
Oh, I definitely noticed it. Yeah, I have a little gap chart thing on my wheel that I can look at and even through sectors see how he's gaining and which parts of the track. again, I think it was just my mistake for pushing so hard at the start of that stint and kind of hurt the tire. Otherwise, I think it wouldn't have been too difficult, because even in the middle or second to last stint, we were on used reds, and we were able to maintain the gap to Graham or actually pull away. So I figured, goody, once we get to the new tires, we can really go, and that was not the right thing to do. So, yeah, we made a show of it, and he was coming fast, man. It would have been interesting. I think once he got to us, it was going to be very tough to pass. We had similar overtake. So the 9 car would have been very wide.
Nate Ryan.
Hey, Scott, on your left. Graham was very gracious in defeat, very complimentary of you, but he was lamenting that first yellow, that it went a little bit longer, and he felt like that played into your hands. Did you see it as going a little bit longer, and do you feel like it benefited you?
Yeah, only by like a lap, maybe 2. I don't think that would have affected us much. I think to get another lap on the first and second stint would have been fairly easy for us, to be honest. So if it was, if we tried to do the 2-stop and it went green from lap 1, that would have been a little more difficult. But yeah, the difference of a lap or 2 wouldn't have really affected us.
And when it came out, Graham was like, "This is going to be a Scott Dixon race." Like, you immediately thought, like, "Oh no." Did you feel that way from your perspective? Like, did you sort of feel like, "Oh, this is playing in our hands. This is a conserving fuel type race that I can win"?
No, I was still swearing at that point because we'd been crashed out. So it was probably 3 or 4 laps later that I was like, "Oh, we still got an opportunity here." But I think the thing that you struggle with is how many people are going to do it. But when the pits opened and actually nobody really pit, there was only like a few cars, and then I think the 18 and the 28 in front of us, it looked like they only took fuel. They didn't even take tires, which I was like, wow, that's kind of strange. So from that point on, I thought only the Hondas could make it from that point. I didn't think the other manufacturer could do it. So that was a good thing for us.
Bruce?
It's not the 500, but it is a win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And anytime you get a win here, is that almost like just an extra surge of excitement and gratitude?
It's definitely not the 500. Yeah, I don't know. Like, trust me, it's always great to win here. I've lived in Indy now for 25 plus years, and it's my home, and it feels special. And we have a lot of friends that come to this race. Especially a lot more of probably families come to this race or the May race, which is pretty cool. So it's always special to win it. At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So yeah, it feels cool.
And also, it was a great day to be Ganassi. You win the race 19 straight years. Your teammate Alex increases his points lead over 100 again. Things are looking good, like he may be back next year. So in a lot of ways, just the total upsurge for the team.
Yeah, he's had a rough year, man. But he's, the 10 group has done a tremendous job, and you got to give them a whole heap of credit for that. They've definitely done well. I haven't seen obviously where people have finished yet, or where we are, if we've gained much on the 2 car or anything like that. But 10, you can't take it away from them, man. The 10 car group has done an amazing job this year.
You're second in points right now.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
4-point advantage over Joseph Newgarden.
We'll take that.
Let's go, Patrick. Nathan, I know you're on board too, and we'll try to work in a couple more. We're losing time, though. Go ahead.
So 4-point advantage, but I believe it's 101 with 3 races to go.
Ooh, still got a chance.
Okay, there you go. I was going to say, do you have a chance?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you get, 5 to start or something, right? That makes it pretty difficult. He gets 15. Yeah. Maybe if he goes on vacation, we could make something.
Well, hey, you never know. The news with him every day is different.
Yeah.
43 years old, and you're still doing this. Elio, you've been racing forever, and he's going to step
aside a lot
little
older than
bit.
me. I'll point out.
So,
Is he like 49?
Yeah, that's what he says. So you still got it? I mean, the passion all still there?
Yeah, absolutely. What it all comes down to for me is that I love racing. That's the fun part for me is when the race starts or when we go even to a test. I enjoy being in the car It's tough. You know, the NTT IndyCar Series right now is extremely competitive. You know, there's so much depth between, you know, the driver and team combos that it's very hard to win. You know, so you're constantly changing or chasing a moving target, which is fun, and that's what keeps you, I think, fresh and you know, inspired, and especially when you have, you know, great teammates, you know, that are very fast as well. So yeah, I love this sport and hope it continues for a lot of years.
Last one. Hunter McElroy won yesterday, so I mean, you guys.
He's Australian.
You guys
right?
are what?
He's Australian, though, right?
Yeah, he says he's a New Zealander, isn't he?
I think he claims both.
Oh, does he? Okay, I think he's born in Los Angeles of all places, but.
Oh, so he's American.
Sort of. Yeah. Well, which one? Well, we had that. I believe the Australians claim you too. Is that correct?
Well, I was born there, but it was a technicality, you know.
And I've asked this for Kiwi Motorsports, you know, Australian Motorsports. It's been just very dominant, or been in the news a lot lately. Let's put it that way. And do you have any insight on where this is all coming from?
No, I don't. There's a lot of talent down there, and racing, you know, the heritage in New Zealand is big. You know, from, you know, even if you go back to the 60s and 70s, you know, F1 drivers, you know, Bruce McLaren obviously and his team that he set up. You know, many drivers that, you know, race for some of the best teams, Ferrari and McLaren and others in those early years, and that's, you know, what my dad loved about motor racing, and then what I loved about motor racing. So yeah, it's as far as sports go, it's pretty up there. You know, I think obviously cricket and sailing is pretty high up in New Zealand, but motorsport, there is a huge following down there, and Australia as well. So, you know, yeah, it's a small country, man. You got 5 million people, but it's kind of cool to have Armstrong here and in the same team. You know, got Earl Bamber on the IMSA WEC side. You know, you got Shane Van Gisbergen that's, you know, maybe going to be running. Hopefully he can win this weekend too, and that'll be a pretty cool sweep for all the races here this weekend. But yeah, it's just the passion. But I think you got to also thank, you know, Peter Johnson and the Giltraps, those families down there that, you know, a lot of us really struggled for money or didn't have any money whatsoever. So they definitely have funded, you know, myself, Brendan Hartley, Earl Bamber, you know, Shane Van Gisbergen, even helped Armstrong a lot. You know, you know, the Giltraps have done a lot for motor racing, and without them, a lot of us wouldn't be here.
We have time for 2 more, Chris, and then wrap it up with Nathan. Chris, go ahead.
Real quick, 5 years ago, Portland, dust storm were doing, you finished 5th. Here you spin on the first lap. Can you think of a more calamitous first lap that you've ever had in a race that you've had a great result in your career?
I think Portland was the worst. Yeah, that was crazy. Just in the fact that, you know, you went into like a big dust bowl, and then for whatever reason, I'd pull the clutch before I hit the fence, and then, you know, the dust kind of settled, and I'm like, well, the car's still running. I got reverse. I can back out, and all I was waiting on was the IndyCar safety truck to get out of my way so I could continue on. But yeah, that one, because it was actually a pretty big hit as well. You know, car flipped in front of us, you know, et cetera, et cetera. That's a tough one to beat, man.
And then talking to Scott McLaughlin after the race, with Van Gisbergen possibly coming to America next year, would you rather him see him in NASCAR? Would you rather him come to IndyCar, or does it not matter where he goes? You just want to see him in America?
I've tried for years to get Shane to come and at least test IndyCar. Yeah, and it just didn't work out. Even in the IMSA program, you know, I think he would have been huge. You know, a great teammate in that as well. You know, I think he's kind of talked a lot about maybe America. You know, this is probably more of his wheelhouse, at least the road and street. You know, the oval racing is definitely on another level. Even, you know, for someone like myself, trying to make that, you know, that transition would be extremely tough. So, you know, it's cool to see him. He's a huge talent, man. The guy's crazy good. Even at freaking indoor go-karting, man, I've gone many a times with the dude, and he's super fast. So it's cool to see the success that he had. I was cheering for him so hard at, you know, the Chicago race, and you know, even last night in the trucks, he did a pretty good job for his first first ever race on an oval, and you know, he qualified, you know, 8th today in a stacked field. So he's got a bright future, hopefully.
Nathan wraps up.
Scott, on these days when you're running an alternate strategy to the guys up front, was there a point in today's race where you either you realize yourself or you're told over the radio, hey, this is actually working, like you're tracking to be ahead of Graham by X amount of seconds for that last stint? Or are you just kind of going with the flow and seeing where things end up?
Probably halfway through the second to last stint on the used tires where we were maintaining a gap, and like he was behind me for a period where it pops up on my dash as he's the next car, and we had a 6-second lead or something, and I kept like looking at it, just running the lap times, and he wasn't gaining on us, and I'm like, this is kind of crazy, like this actually really might work out. And for me the pace was not too difficult to get. But I think we were kind of in a happy spot of having to get fuel mileage and also looking after the tires where, maybe some of those guys pushed quite hard early on like I did on my last stint. But that was the first kind of like aha moment where I was like, man, we're definitely in a strong position here to pull that off.
I know we've talked a lot already about your extending those records of 19 straight seasons with at least one win and 21 overall. I'm sure you celebrate these wins. Is there any sense of relief at the same time of being able to get this monkey off your back this season, being able to extend those records and just try to get 1, 2, maybe even 3 more before the season's over with?
Yeah, I don't know, you go into every weekend as a fresh start, and for me and for this team, they only go there to win. The downside is that there's probably 26 or 27 other really competitive cars, or, at least, 10 or 15. So, I don't know, over time, I think these ones feel better. Maybe in the early parts of your career, you kind of really don't care too much about wins, and you're like, another one will just come along. So I think with how competitive it is, and how what these teams have got really good at is covering all strategies. The days of where maybe us or a couple of others would go on an alternate strategy. Now you might have half the field that would do it, and a lot of the drivers have done a really good job of understanding how to get the mileage, how to look after the tire. There's a lot of tools now that, whether it's with the simulator to onboard laps to, the Dartfish overlay stuff to, all the information that we get now, makes it a little bit easier to catch up and maybe cover, different strategies. So, it was cool to have this one work out today and be a strong performance for our team.
Last question. I know we've kind of jokingly referenced it this afternoon, but there's been a lot going on behind the scenes with your team and the 10 car and Alex's future that seems like it's erupted these last couple days. I know you were frustrated with the way things ended last year and the distractions that some of that brought. Is there any frustration of some of this just kind of boiling up again with a month left in the season?
Nah, man, that's his story, to be honest. I don't, it's, I think it's interesting for a lot of you people, but yeah, it is what it is, man. It looks complicated.
You get the 319 and you make that a big, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What does it, take your humble stuff off, what does it mean to you to put that exclamation point on the 319?
Question is on your consecutive Ironman record to win on that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that was very special. I think it was my good friend TK's record, and yeah, I don't know if I've got a text from him yet. I probably haven't, but yeah, it honestly to do that consecutively. I know in the mid 2000s that was tough. Those cars when they crash pretty big. So it was nice to get on a roll there after a while, but yeah, it's if you could do it, that's the way you want to do it, man.
You're not just hanging on.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
A lot of streaks continue. Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you.
Stand
Appreciate
by.
it.
Got a couple quick things for you. We'll see everybody in a couple of weeks at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. We'll have him choose. And then you should have over both on the side. Yeah. Well done.